What's up, guys? So last night they did a special Fathom event for the extended edition of The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. I'm going to review it a little differently. I am going to tell you the, extended stuff and what was added in and everything, but I feel as though I can't do that, without actually telling you, I want to get into detail about this because I didn't do a spoiler review for it when it came out. I just did a regular, review, which is non-spoilers, which you can find up on this channel. But here I was going to say, you know what, I'm going to talk spoilers as well about the whole entire film. So, that's the theatrical and the extended cut. I'm just going to get in depth about some of my favorite scenes in The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, and, here we go. Let's just get started talking about it. So when the film starts up, as everybody knows if you guys have seen it, Smaug, he's coming into Lake Town, and he's gonna kill all these people of Lake Town, and he's, blowing fire, and everyone's dying and being thrown out of their houses and falling, and, they're trying to escape because there's a lot of stuff that's going down. And honestly, they didn't really add any extended stuff into that opening sequence of the film. Sure, there's maybe like a couple of new shots of Bard running across the houses that are on fire, and the Smaug kind of, giving him problems as he's getting to that tower with the bell on it to where he ultimately kills him. So, they didn't really add much there, but it's a great scene. I think it's a great scene, a nice way to open up the film. They didn't really add much in the beginning, maybe like the first 20-25 minutes. They didn't really add too much. I mean, there was some scenes that were added where, Gandalf is like stuck in that cage, and, Kate Blanchett comes and saves him, and then the other White Council members, they come, Elrond and Saruman, they come and they fight these sort of Nazgul. So that was pretty entertaining. They added some more stuff into that, which I thought gave it more depth. And you might think, why is this rated R? Because there's a lot more blood. There's a lot of blood. I don't even know if there was any blood in the theatrical cut, but this one, things are getting their heads cut off. There's blood gushing out. Things are getting very intense in this film because of its R rating. When this orc sort of gets Gandalf out of that cage that he was locked in, he was going to cut his hand off. It wasn't in the theatrical film. He's actually going to cut his hand off, but then, when Galadriel comes to save Gandalf, it happens a little differently when she just kind of goes like this and he just gets blown away. It happens a little differently. And personally, I think I like this version better than the theatrical version of how some of this stuff actually happened. And as the film continues to go on, there's a little bit added, to where Gandalf, he's coming and he has to warn the dwarves that there's an orc army coming to, pretty much kill them for the Lonely Mountain. Radagast actually gives him his staff, because maybe some people wonder, well, how did he get his staff back? In the theatrical version, he just kind of has a new staff. But in this extended cut, we actually get to see Radagast say, I don't need mine anymore. You have better use for it than I do. Here you go. Use my staff. It doesn't work all the time. You got to really play with the top of it, to maybe get it started up. So that was a nice scene between those two characters that maybe they should have had in the original, in the theatrical cut, because I think that it gave more depth to, Radagast's character, and, saying, here, I don't need this anymore, take it. So that was pretty cool, and then the, film continues to progress on, and there's, like I said, there's not really that much added in the, sort of build-up to the battle, but then when the battle actually starts, you get to see Thorin and this dragon sickness that's come over him. You get to see when Bilbo goes to bring the Arkenstone to Bard and all of them. You actually get to see before he actually goes and puts the rope down the side of the building, or side of the tower, or side of the Lonely Mountain. He actually has an interaction with one of the dwarves, and it's just like, go ahead, I'll see you tomorrow, all this sort of thing, that they have that interaction before, Bilbo actually goes. He actually has to sneak out, and I like that they showed, before he's just coming down the side, on the rope. It's he's getting there, and he's putting the rope out. It's nice to see that too. Then one of my favorite scenes of the whole entire film, right when the battle is actually about to start, when Thadriel and Bard are coming, and the whole elf army they're coming, to say, here's the Arkenstone, will you have peace or war? And then Thorin, before he says, I will have war, it's just this, parts that were not in the theatrical cut of the film. He's walking back and forth on top of the, sort of barricade that they've set for themselves. Him and all the dwarfs, he's just waiting for something, because there's the black crow that I guess that leaves, that they didn't show in the theatrical cut either. Earlier in the film, the black crow leaves when Bard first comes to talk to Thorin and try to get him to, let the people come into the mountain. And then when, the fight's about to start, the crow finally comes back. And we see that, and then he's just like, okay, we're going to have backup, I will have war. I think he was just waiting for that. It was nice to see that was more fleshed out, And then when actually Ironfoot, yeah, I don't know, I said Iron Fist, you get to see them come, and that sort of Scottish guy. This is where things were changed up a lot, where I actually think that this was better than the first version. Like in the theatrical cut, you get to see that, this guy, what is his name? Dane? That's his name, Dane. Thorin's cousin. He's kind of spewing all these insults to Thadriel, Lee Pace's character, and finally he's just like, let's give these bastards a good havering, or whatever he says, and so pretty much there's this fight before the orcs even come between the Ironfoot dwarves and the elves. Just because the two leaders of each side just really want to kill each other, and that shows, and I think that was great, and they should have put that in the original film. And as the elves are shooting their arrows first, the dwarves then shoot theirs, but they have like this propeller sort of thing, so all the elves' arrows just get destroyed, and then all these other dwarf arrows just kill some of these elves, which was fantastic to see, and I think that they should have put that in the original cut of the film, because it was fantastic to watch. And these two sides just really start going at it, but then all of a sudden when they hear the boom, which is in the theatrical cut, they look and they see these whale worms, or whatever they're called, are the ones that shoot out of the ground, and then they go back in, and then they give the the passage for all the orcs to come through, and Azog and his army. Then they realize, okay, well, the dwarves are just like, let's go fight them now, and then all these sort of orcs start coming out, and they're gonna pretty much have a fight to the death, which is fantastic to see. The Howard Shore score starts swelling up, which is fantastic, and it's just like building up to this big fight which is about to begin between all of these armies. The men, Bard's people, they're not doing anything yet. They're just sort of standing and watching, and then at this point, all the elves are just standing there too, and just like, Thadriel, this is madness. That's what Gandalf says, because they're not doing anything. They're being selfish. Just fight these people on your own. But then all of a sudden, right where the Dane's dwarves and his Ironfoot sort of army are just like all barricaded with their shields, and all the orcs are just sort of so close to being on top of them and going to kill them. The elves just jump over all these dwarves, and it's just like da 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 da, and it's just fantastic how they're all going to join together, and then everybody's going to kill each other, and then the fight just begins, and you get that wonderful music that I love from Howard Shore. When the music starts, it's like da da da, bum 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 ba bum 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 ba. It's fantastic, and I get the chills every time I see that scene, because it's just fantastic. And I got the chills last night when I saw it in the extended cut. It's fantastic. I love it. One of the best scenes of the whole entire film. Just that whole entire sequence. It's great. And then the battle just takes place from there, and Thorin, he finally realizes that what he's doing is wrong, and he the dragon sickness sort of leaves him, and he finds the strength within himself to overcome that, and he gets his the rest of the dwarves, his dwarves that are going to come run out and pretty much fight with everybody else, which is fantastic to see. When Dane is just like outside, he's like, "Where's Thorin?" It was very interesting to see what's his name? What's his name? Ryan Cage? Is that his name? The actor's name, who plays a guy with a unibrow that he's trying to take all the gold for himself, and he's just the selfish guy. In the extended cut, this cut of the film, we actually get to see him die. He gets killed. He gets pretty much eaten almost. I mean, it's just to this scene where Gandalf is trying to use his staff to get this big sort of orc, just to kill him, but the staff isn't working. So Gandalf's just like, well, what do I do? What do I do? And then a piece of gold that this guy has stole, the unibrow guy. This piece of gold just falls onto this lever, and then he pushes the lever down, and all of a sudden he just gets catapulted. The unibrow guy gets catapulted into this orc's mouth, and pretty much just dies. When he falls to the ground, you can see his legs just snapping. And that was pretty fun to watch. It was pretty satisfying to see that, okay, this guy actually got killed. Because we didn't like him. He's selfish and he was being mean to the people, so he got what was coming to him. Yeah, we just got to see a lot more of the battle. Just this big, long, elaborate fight between all of these armies. And then when Thorin decides to go up to Ravenhill to fight Azog and kill him, to cut the head off the snake, is what Gandalf says. It happens a little differently, their journey up there. Scenes that we saw in the trailer, they get in this sort of big cart, Balin and, the other three, other four, Thorin and Fili Kili and, whatever the other one's name is. They're sort of in this cart going over the icy sort of frozen lake, and there's the orcs that are falling behind them, and they're getting blasted in the head with just these arrows that all you have to do is this, and the arrows just go. That was pretty fun to watch. It was a great scene that I think that they should have kept in the film as well. Scenes that I just loved. All of these scenes that are being added, it was nothing I felt was being like forced or rushed. I thought it was all fantastic, and I wish that it was the theatrical version of the film, because it gave it so much more depth. Now, I did love the theatrical cut. I love that film. It's the same thing. It's just like deleted scenes added into the movie, which made it that much better. So finally, when they get to Ravenhill, it's pretty much all the same stuff we see, the battle between, Thorin and Azog and, all this stuff, and Fili and Kili's death and everything like that. It's pretty much all the same stuff with, like, maybe some added in shots, of just fighting and action. But that whole part was pretty much the same. So that was that's entertaining. It's a great scene to watch. And then ultimately Thorin's death, when Bilbo just comes over to him as Thorin's just laying on the ground here, just pretty much dying, and Bilbo's just like, they part in friendship, as Thorin says. So, that's a nice scene, it's emotional, but it is a nice scene to watch, just the growth of these two characters and how their, friendship sort of ends. I thought it was very nice how they handled that. So, and then their final scene, that was added in, the final extended scene that was added into the film, that should have been in the theatrical cut, was the sort of funeral, where, Thorin is on the table in the middle, dead, and then Fili's on the table, and then Kili's on the table. These just three stone tables that the dwarves are just sort of walking around, looking at the dead bodies, and then you get to Bilbo, he gets to Thorin's, stone, and he's just looking at Thorin, and he's just breaking down. That was fantastic to watch, and I think that should have been in the, I think that should have been in the theatrical cut. And if you guys didn't see this last night, it comes out with the 17th of November. I think the Blu-ray comes out, so you have to pick it up if you're interested in this sort of thing, and you didn't know that this was happening last night. You should really check out the extended cut of the Battle of the Five Armies, because it's fantastic. And then everything at the end of the film is the same. Going back to the Shire, and Gandalf leaving Bilbo, and then Gandalf is just like, oh, I knew you had the ring the whole time, and I was watching out for you. And then Bilbo's just like, no, I lost that sometime during the battle. And then one of the best lines of the film, I think, is Gandalf, "You're a very fine person, Mr. Baggins, and I'm very fond of you, but you're only quite a little fellow in a wide world after all." And then Gandalf leaves. And then Bilbo goes to the Shire, and then this is a scene that some people actually might have had some complaints with, how the last time we actually see the Shire in, Middle-earth and in a film in general is, these people are just sort of, stealing all of Bilbo's stuff because they think he's dead, so they're just taking all the stuff out of his house, and they're taking it for themselves, and they're auctioning all of his stuff off because they think he's dead. And when Bilbo finally arrives, it's just like, well, who are you? Are you Bilbo Baggins? It's just like, do you have some paper to prove it? Your signature or something? So Bilbo's just like, sure, sure, sure. And he takes out the paper that he signed in the first film that they were going to go off, on the journey. And the guy's doing the auction. He's looking at it. He says, oh, there seems to be no doubt. Who is this person? You're something. Who is this person you've associated to or whatever? Thorin Oakenshield. And then Bilbo just looks over. He was my friend. So that's a very nice, sort of closing to that whole entire thing. I liked it. And then finally, Bilbo just comes back into his house, takes the ring out of his pocket, he sees it, and he's looking at it, and then it cuts to the older Bilbo, this is my favorite scene of the whole entire film. It's the last shot of the movie, and I think it's one of the best endings of any film, period. I love it. I could literally rewind, play, just because the music is fantastic, and just the way that the camera moves, and the way it leads in to the Fellowship of the Ring. Bilbo's just sitting there in his chair looking at the ring, and he hears the knock at the door, and he closes and puts the ring back in his pocket. No, thank you.
We don't want any more visitors, well-wishers, or distant relations.
And what about very old friends?
And then you just see Bilbo's face. The one person that he will allow in, Gandalf, gets up, walks to the door. The music is fantastic. He gets the door, he opens the door. Gandalf, Bilbo Baggins, my dear Gandalf, 111 years old. Can you believe it? I can listen to that over and over and over again. It's fantastic music, and I cannot just tell you guys enough how much I actually adore this movie. And I could watch it over and over and over again. And I love it. And if you're asking me, if you're going to say, what's your top 6 Middle-earth films? I'm going to say 6 is An Unexpected Journey. That's a 4 out of 5 film. And then 5 is The Desolation of Smaug, which is 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then 4 is The Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. It's another 4.5 out of 5 stars. That's right, I didn't give that one 5 out of 5. I thought it got kind of slow when, Merry and Pippin are just walking with the trees. I thought that there was a lot of that was just kind of dull and boring because I didn't care about the trees. But still fantastic film, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Not nitpicking about that or anything, I was just saying. And then 3 is The Battle of the Five Armies, 5 out of 5 stars. I love it. Extended cut, theatrical cut, whatever, 5 out of 5 stars. 2 is The Fellowship of the Ring, 5 out of 5, and then Return of the King 1, 5 out of 5. But, that switches, my number 2 and number 1 spots. Some days Fellowship will be 1, Return of the King will be 2, or some days like today I'll say Return of the King is 1, Fellowship is 2, but they're neck and neck. If I could have any higher rating than 5, if I could go 10 out of 5, I just break the scale, those films would do that, because I love them. But I love the whole saga, the whole Middle-earth saga, and I'm going to do another video about it when the Blu-ray comes out, the Battle of the Five Armies Extended Edition Blu-ray. Like I said, it comes out like the 17th of November, so you can definitely check the Blu-ray unboxing for that when it comes out. Yeah, guys, you could follow me on Facebook. The link is in the description. You could also, follow me on Twitter. The link is also in the description. Movie reviews coming out in the future. You got Goosebumps. You get Crimson Peak, Bridge of Spies, Steve Jobs, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. All these movies are coming out that I will be reviewing. And what do you guys think? I gotta get a new poster or something. They used to give them away at my movie theater, but now they haven't put a new one out in a few months. But like the Ant-Man one and the Age of Ultron one, I actually got those off eBay. I didn't get those at my movie theater. It's like $10 a piece. I mean, I don't care about buying them, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna have to, get a new poster. So if you guys, want to input, what new poster should I get? Give me a couple down in the comment section, and I'll get 1 or 2 more for movies that are coming out. anything in November, from like November 6th on. So like Peanuts movie Spectre on. Alright guys, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching this review for The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies Extended Edition, technically spoiler review. So yeah guys, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Over and out.